system, expand our minds, and make us all think. How are you guys doing? Whether it's good morning, grand risings, grand afternoon, or grand evening. Doesn't matter what time, because we know that time is nothing more than a construct that we created. But today what we're going to discuss is something very important. So welcome in, everyone. It's a very important subject I want to discuss. Today I want to invite you into the very radical exploration of something you think you already know. Reality. You know, the floor underneath our feet, the body we're living inside of, and the story of me that you woke up into this morning. At least you thought was your story of today, your patterns that you even create as you go on with the thoughts and ideas. But all of that feels certain and solid, doesn't it? Familiar. But your experience of reality is actually being edited even before it even reaches you. You're like a computer. You know, your brain is not a camera recording the world as it is. You know how the computer, you say it's nothing more than made up of a bunch of ones and zeros that translate into the language that it computes out to us. Well, so we are the same way. Your brain is not a camera recording the world as it is. And your brain is an editor cutting scenes, filling holes, smoothing edges, and handing you a final version, even placing time and timelines and everything that you can live inside of. And here's the question for today. What if those 5 senses and pieces of the real world have actually been cut from your experience? What if there's a space of nothingness where not even a single thing is seen, but yet your brain and mind, they fill in the spaces and make you believe that everything around you is solid? What if the reality you live in every day is not false but incomplete? It's useful, but not the ultimate. See, today we're going to go and peel back some more layers and reboot this memory of ours. It's not just the memory of our past, but the deeper memory of what we truly are and what reality has been this whole time. See, you're going to explore 5 cracks in what looks solid. The crack in vision, and the crack in matter, and the crack in time. And the crack in language. The crack in the self. We won't rush either. But today, part 1. We'll be doing a session, many parts of this. So today will be part 1, tomorrow part 2. But we're going to go deeper into vision, matter, and the story of a brain surgeon whose mind literally broke open into different reality. And they took it to a further place of understanding the human condition. See, tomorrow we're going to continue with time and language and self, which we've been trying to tell has been nothing but a construct. Before we dive into, let's take a deep breath, though. Let's just arrive in the place of I am that I am. I feel that empty space where reality unfolds. I want you to feel your body where it is. And recognize the sense of I am here, watching this. And ask yourself softly, how sure am I that what I experience right in this moment now is the final unedited reality of my reality? Not as an idea, as a feeling. I'll let that question sit in the background as we go. Let's start with something very basic, seeing. Most of us trust our eyes more than we even trust almost anything else. We open them and there's this world, colors, ideas, numbers, everything in front of us. It's shapes, faces, walls, trees, phones, keyboards, and everything looks continuously and it must be complete. But the truth is your vision is not a live stream. It's a construction. See, light enters the eyes and it hits the cells in the back of your eye, and those cells send signals along the optic nerve, and your brain takes those signals, compares them with memory, with expectations, with past experience, and builds a picture. Now, here's something strange and simple. In each of your eyes, there is a place where the optic nerve exists, in the retina right there. There are no light-sensitive cells, no rods, no cones, no visual information. What does that mean? That means you have a blind spot. Right now, in what you see, there is a hole, a patch of the world that your eyes simply cannot see, and yet you don't see a hole, you don't see a black circle floating in the view. Why? Because your brain quietly fills in the gap before you ever become aware of it. It looks at the color, edges, patterns around the blind spot, and it uses memory and expectation, and it guesses what should be there. It paints that before into the experience. It paints before the experience, and you basically have a painting that's come out, and it guesses your experience, and you never know the difference. It fills in the gaps that are empty. And so what you call seeing reality already includes nothing more than spaces where there is actually no reality and only a brain's best guess of what's there. I mean, so let's take a moment right now. Let's look at our hands. Look at the wall. Look whatever is in front of you and say softly in your mind, somewhere in this image, there is nothing. And my brain is painting in the fullness of this picture. Somewhere in this image, there is a blank space. And let that idea just sit there for a second. See, your eyes begin to work of seeing, but they don't finish it. Vision is assembled by fragments, bits of light, edges, contrast, colors, memories of your past and experience, expectations, culture, patterns, and beliefs. And from these partial signals, your brain constructs a world that is stable enough for you to move through it without constantly questioning reality. Now, psychology has shown us over and over again that your expectations change what you see. So what you're expecting within, how you expect to see the world, is what you are going to expect to see and experience on the outside. And the brain filters and edits and inputs and matches your beliefs and fears. So vision is not light. Comes in and I see the world. You don't even see the world. Vision is light and comes in, and the brain builds the world first before you even are able to fit the story. I mean, let's make this real. Think of a time in your life when you were deeply terrified, deeply afraid, maybe walk through a neighborhood and you felt unsafe or going into a job interview or having a hard conversation with someone you love, and you look back and notice, what did you see? What did you focus on? Did you notice that every risk, every micro expression, every little detail that confirmed your fear? Did you ignore the signs that you were actually okay or supported or loved? Now think of a time when you were in love or at peace or full of joy. And the same world looked different. Colors get richer. Faces look kinder. Possibilities felt open. Same eyes, same brain. Same physical place, different state, different expectation, different addition. And this is crack number one. Seeing is not complete picture. There is a missing place. And from that missing place, from those gaps, the world as you know it is made. I mean, let's widen this with ancient insight. Gnostic teachings is some of the earliest mystical Christians and pre-Christians said that the visible world is not ultimate reality. It's a lower flawed version, a copy, or even a trap. You know, it's a hidden fullness of the pleroma beyond the physical universe. And they spoke of a lesser creator, the merge, shaping a material realm and shaping our senses. The senses in the view show us just enough of a lesser reality to keep us busy, occupied, and forgetful, or our true source. Is if we translate that into modern language, we could say your brain is the demerge of your personal world. It takes raw, infinite reality and builds something usable, familiar, survivable. It hides the cracks you do not fall through. But the cracks are exactly where the deeper truth leaks in. Let's do something together. For just a moment. Wherever you are, I want you to just soften your gaze for a sec. Like when you're looking at the walls and you like have those hidden dots and you're supposed to see the hidden picture that's beneath the painting that's there. How you soften your eyes and notice the whole field, not just one object, colors, shapes, shadows, light. Your attention widens. I'll quietly say to yourself, this is not the whole world. This is my brain's painting of the world, and it uses, and it's useful, but it's not complete. What happens if you treat what you see as a painting instead of a photograph? Can you see a little more curiosity, a little less heaviness, a place where you can still create? Can you feel the possibility that there is more here than meets the eye, literally? I might just hold that for a second. We're going to carry it into the next crack. Crack 2 is matter, dissolving solidity. Let's talk about something that feels even more undeniable than vision. Solidity. If you can place your hand on something near you, a table, a floor, a leg, a chest, feel that firmness. That's resistance, that's weight. In your entire life, this has been the foundation of what you call reality. This is solid, this is tangible, this is here. But when we zoom into the science, not metaphor, but actually physics, the solidity begins to dissolve. Now let's travel together. And now imagine we shrink down into your hand. We pass through the skin, we pass between cells, and we move deeper than molecules. And eventually we arrive at atoms. Many of us grew up imagining atoms as tiny balls, mini marbles, solid, dense beads of matter, but that isn't what atoms really are. Most of an atom is empty space. There is a tiny, nucleus in the center of protons and neurons, and around that nucleus, electrons don't orbit like little panels circling a sun. They exist regions of probability, clouds of maybe here or maybe there. At a very small scale, particles behave like waves, like fields, like patterns of possibilities. And if you could look at your hand and the table at the scale, the solid table would disappear into a pattern of atoms and emptiness. And your hand would dissolve into atoms and emptiness. You would see something more like a shimmering arrangement of energy in a vast ocean of space. Now here's another piece of the crack. Is the atoms in your hand and the atoms in your table never truly touch each other. What you feel as touch, as hardness, is the result of forces pushing against each other. Electromagnetic forces say no, closer, not closer. Your nervous system translates no, closer, into the sensation of pressure, resistance, and solidity. So touch is not solid. Hitting, solid touch is force meeting force, energy meeting energy. And what your mind calls hard is a way of your nervous system actually experiencing a relationship between fields, not a collision of solid stuff. So everything you've ever called solid, the floor under you, the walls around you, your bed, your car, your own bones, it's mostly empty space, but pattern, what we call a thing, is relatively relatively stable pattern of relationships. A choreography of forces, a dance that stays recognizable long enough for us to actually give it a name. See, the universe does not behave like a warehouse full of bricks. It behaves like a web a network of interactions. And this already starts to sound like, the tight, rigid world we think we live in, and a more like something alive, relational, dynamic. Now, bring back spiritual lens. The Gnostic tradition says the material realm is not the highest reality. It is the shadow, a copy, a construct. And our true essence is not this dense matter, but a spark of a higher, subtle essence, reality. And quantum physics arrives at the whisper is matter is not dense little chunks. Reality is not a pile of separate objects. Everything is mostly space, mostly probability, mostly energy interacting. And if an ancient mystic and a modern physicist sat down together, they might disagree about many details, but on the point, they might agree the world is not as solid as it looks. And what we really are may not be limited to what we seem solid. Let's connect this into the actual life. Think about how often you feel stuck. I'm stuck in the job. I'm stuck in the identity. I'm stuck in the trauma. I'm stuck in this kind of person. And we walk about our lives like they are made of concrete blocks locked into place. But underneath those stories, reality itself is not concrete. It's a pattern. It's a relationship. In your body, your brain, your relationship, your habits are all patterns that can change. Look again at your hand. And imagine if you can't physically look, say quietly, this is mostly empty space. This is energy in a pattern, what I call solid, a relationship and a thing. I feel your hand on the table, your chest, your legs, and imagine for just a moment that both objects are buzzing spaciously alive like a wall, more like a dynamic field, and ask yourself, if reality is mostly relationship and pattern, what else in my life might be more fluid than I think? And maybe it's your career, or maybe it's something you do every day. Maybe it's your identity. Maybe it's what you've been eating, and maybe it's in your capacity for healing. The second crack is matter is not a pile of solid things. It is a web of interactions in vast open space. And we thought the world was solid, and the more closely we look, the more solidity begins to soften and dissolve. Vision and matter, a brain that fell through the cracks. I want to tell you, but I want to weave cracks together and bring this story into out. So there's this woman, right? She's actually a brain surgeon, and she had this thing happen to her. A vision is constructed picture, and matter is mostly space and energy. So this world you live in, the world that feels so obvious and unquestionable, is already translational. And your brain is translating waves of light into images. And how do I know this? Let's talk about this example, this situation this woman had, where she was buzzing atoms into solid objects and a fluid, uncertain reality into something that feels stable enough to walk through. From a survival perspective, this is necessary. You need reliable world. You need a chair, door, the body, your body, and the past and my future. But spiritual perspective, this is translations into a veil. It hides a deeper fluidity of the deeper unity and the deeper mystery within us. So there's this brain surgeon, right? And there's this neurologist and the scientist. She had a stroke. And in that stroke, it causes damage to a certain area of the brain that handles language and analytics. Separation and left the hemisphere altogether and function constantly. And this is me, this is not me, this is the table, this is my hand, this is good, this is bad. All of that was gone for a moment. And in the inner narrative, the voices that divides reality into pieces and names and went quiet. She had no identity. And something ordinary began to happen is without that voice, all of a sudden, her actual visuals and usual senses of boundaries and softened where the table was a table and a hand was a hand and the sharp lines between my hand and the tiles on the floor, they actually began to dissolve like the caterpillar to the chrysalis to the butterfly. She became fluid. She would touch a table and her hand would turn into the table. Everything would become one fluidity. Everything in her hand, the floor of the room felt like continuous field. She could feel energy in every space that she would touch. And the moment she'd touch it, in the visual, they were just melted together as one. And it wasn't that the world disappeared. It's the editing disappeared. The translator that said, this is a table, the translator that said, this is solid, was gone, and everything was fluid. There was cracks in the vision, and the matter that are always being covered up were no longer covered up. Suddenly, they were not covered up, and she could see everything as one fluid flow. She fell through the cracks into the different experience of reality. And later on, she recovered. And she chose after that moment to dedicate her entire existence and understanding to the mind and the teaching about this experience. She brought science, psychology, and spirituality and to look at her story and ask, was that experience just a brain glitch or was it a glimpse of the deeper truth of the normal brain that hides us so we can function? And mystics all over across the globe, religions, cultures, centuries have described these same similar experiences forever. The sense I dissolves, and the world feels like a continuous presence of oneness. The body feels light, energy, and vibration, and time slows down or disappears. And the usual edges and labels fall away. They don't call these moments errors. They call them awakening. So here's the question. Is your everyday reality the real thing? And these unity moments just glitches? Or is everyday reality convenient story? And unity moments cracks where something true shines absolutely through. You don't have to decide that right now, but I just want you to notice your normal world, the world you woke up into today, is constructed. Your eyes leave holes and your brain fills them in. Your touch feels solidity that physics says is mostly nothing more than empty space. Your sense of me and you are partial language tricks. So, remember that. What I see is my brain's picture, not a whole of reality. Remember that. So notice this. We are more. We're more than just this. So today in this part, we talked about the 2 of the 5 cracks. The crack in vision, where your brain fills in the gaps and edits the guesses and constructs a world of fragments. The crack in matter, where what feels solid dissolves into mostly empty space and interaction energies. To say what we see now, the world you see is a painting, not a raw feed. And the world you touch is a pattern, not a pile of bricks. And your normal experience of reality is already a translation, already a story. So tomorrow, we're going to move into the deeper. We're going to talk about the crack in time, how the present moment is stitched together from past and prediction. We're going to talk about the crack in language, how the words freeze a living world and hide processing. We talk about the crack in self, how I is flowing pattern and not a solid thing at the center. But for now, I want to leave you with a living question you can carry into the rest of your day. If my seeing is edited, and my world is mostly empty space and a pattern, how do I want to walk through my life this week? Ask yourself that. And then ask yourself this. What if there's more here than I'm seeing? What if reality is softer, more relational, more mysterious than it even looks? Thanks for journeying with us and through these cracks with me today, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace and love. Now remember, reality is not separate from us. It is not a solid, finished object sitting over there. It is an unfolding event that we are inside of, and that is inside of you, inside of us.